Yeah. So that's great. That is great. Yeah. Of course, Crystal's not, Crystal's iOS, right? Just, straight iOS, not Corona. But
Oh, well, yeah, but he's part of the community. That's what I'm saying.
right. Part of, yeah.
That's what.
I still consider Dean part of the community.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I wasn't saying this was written with Corona.
Oh yeah, I just want to make
Good
sure
to
to
clarify.
clarify for anybody. Yeah, people are like, hey, cool.
Well, you know what? I wonder though, why couldn't you write it with Corona if you did it with Enterprise?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm sure you could.
I
I'm
don't know
sure you could
exactly
for
what's
sure.
going on in the background there, but what do we got available to us, Sergey? We got C Sharp. We got what else we got available in the native land for Enterprise?
C Sharp is for Microsoft. We have Java and Objective C,
Oh, Java.
and
I
and I believe we can also use Swift for plugins.
Have you done any Swift plugins yet?
No, but I don't know. I have kind of streamlined my process with Objective-C, so it's not a problem for me to do it in Objective-C, and it's faster, so it's obviously a plus
Yeah.
for a
So
plugin to work
Objective,
faster.
I get them all
I
confused.
have I have been learning some C Sharp recently, but not for Windows development. But I how to put it? I had an opportunity to revisit Unity and to see what's happening there, and they use C Sharp.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see C Sharp has taken off over the years the way it has. It really wasn't clear in the beginning. Microsoft was going to open source the language, and you're kind of like, well, can can that mean that it would take off on its own, right? It would have a life of its own, and it has, and that's really great. I wonder, I'm curious if is whether or not Swift will do the same thing.
I think
To become
so.
open source?
No.
Yeah. Well, Apple is going to, open source or has open source. I don't remember the timeline on that, but they said they were going to open source Swift.
I can't see how it wouldn't because it was immensely popular when it first came out and it was closed.
Swift might become popular if it would be available to write Android apps as well with Swift.
But
Maybe.
there's talk of that too. In fact, isn't there already? I thought somebody had already done some work on that. Like a Swift variation for Android or a Swift something for Android.
Wouldn't that just
Swift will become open source, but there's no timeline yet.
Okay. Wouldn't that just chap Google? I mean, maybe they'd be happy with it, right? Because then more people it would be easier or whatever. People, be more unified in developing apps. But I don't know. I just think my chap Google would be like, they'll kind of lose control. People start developing Swift apps for Android.
I don't know. I'd like to see a unified landscape for development.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, to be just having to learn multiple languages. I mean, that's the whole basis for Corona, right? Is that you don't have to learn multiple languages and deal with that. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so we're gonna have Dean Murphy on with us. He's gonna talk all about Crystal, and if you haven't already, go check it out. You can go to crystalapp.co, and he's got all the information there. And of course, if you just Google Crystal iOS, it'll come up as well. I purchased it, put it on my phone, and it works exceptionally well. I mean, it does the job, and he's selling it. I think he's selling it for like 99 cents. So it's kind of a no-brainer. All right, so I got one other announcement here before we get into our topics, and this one is Ed. This one's for you, and also for everybody on the panel, but it's addressed to you in the forums. Someone, Epicurious 101. I don't know if you saw this already, but he says I just wanted to quickly say thank you to Ed for the sheer amount of work that must be going into all of these game making tutorials. As someone who is pretty new to Corona, they have massively helped me to organize my thinking around how to put a project together. I recently found myself stranded from my computer for a week. I don't know if I can even imagine that, but able to watch YouTube videos. and I've been hoovering up this series and the Zigzag Boom series. Great work, guys. So, Ed, thanks for all the hard work.
I saw it and I haven't responded yet because I'm not too good at responding to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't take compliments very well, do you?
I haven't got a problem. I'm not good at taking compliments. Never have been.
That's all right. So a lot of people aren't. You know what? In those situations, what I've learned to do is just say thank you.
I'll just leave it at that.
And just leave it at that. And that's usually all it's required.
Hoovering tells me that this person sounds like they may be British.
British, yeah. So I did this. I did the same thing. I was like, "What's hovering? He's hoovering. Oh, he's hoovering. He's sucking up the information. Oh, okay, got it."
It's really funny because I thought Hoover was like an old style. If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Go with the nomenclature. Isn't that like the old American vacuum cleaner, Hoover?
Yeah. But I don't know that it wasn't international. I mean,
that could have been.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. Back in the day, that would have been your market, right? You would have been Australia and Britain and the U.S. I mean, English-speaking markets would have been certainly a prime target for you. So,
Hoovering.
Hoovering. Yeah.
Hoovering indeed.
All right. Well, hey, we got Kevin with us. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
All right, got here just in time. All right, show's over, Kevin.
All right. Yeah. All right. Join us next week when we'll. Okay. Well, like I said before, we talked about vector math last time. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do this time?
Well, what I want to do this time is I want to go through it step by step, and first I'm going to show people what's new in the project. I'm just going to show them the features so that they know they're there, but we're not going to. We may have time to go over them at the very end, but then what I want to do is switch over and break down an example of how we calculate, how we determine where to aim and how to fire and how to create velocity vectors and all that good stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll take that example, which is about 15 or 20 lines of code, if I remember correctly, and then we will live change it to create a homing projectile, as we've gotten the nomenclature correct now. Thank you, Sergey. I get that wrong all the time, and that's, I have to say, actually, I should correct myself and be careful because I'd hate it when people use the wrong term for something, and here I am, I was using the wrong term. So, what we've got in the current game is, I can't remember if we said this in the last show or if this was something that you and I bandied about in, I think we talked about it on, what is it called? Slack. But I can't remember now. Whatever the case was, is you said something about heat-seeking missiles, and I just thought that sounded so good, I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. So what I added, what you're seeing now on the screen, is the same game as always, but you're going to notice that there is a new HUD at the top.
We still see you.
Oh, yeah. You're not. Yeah, what you're seeing is me talking to my screen. Bada boom, bada bing.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. It was in Slack, and I had used the term heat-seeking missiles, and you had interpreted that as being able to throw out decoys to keep from being hit.
Exactly. So that's what I have implemented as an additional feature. And just to walk you through what was required to do that was I duplicated the code in Game Lua for the coin HUD. If you remember, there's a HUD in the coin. There's a coin HUD in Game Lua, which basically looks at the level it's about to load and says how many coins are in that level. Make a HUD showing how many coins you need to pick up, and then as you pick them up, the coin counter fills in. It turns the other color so you know you got it. So I duplicated that for what I'm calling decoys. So for every decoy in the level, you'll see one of these little markers up here. Let me go with a bigger screen here. Sorry.
So you can have multiple decoys.
Yeah, you can have multiple decoys in a level. I'm only showing one in this current level.
Gotcha.
Because I'm actually still game balancing it. I don't feel like it's quite right yet. I also needed to add a button to throw the decoy out or fire it or do something with it. So in inputs.lua, I added a new button piece of code, and in game Lua, I added a listener for it, and in the player builder, I added a listener for it so that the player would do something when it heard you throwing out the decoy. Now, the reason there is a listener in game is so that we can update the HUD. So when you throw out one of your things, it takes one off of the HUD. So it's a little different from coins because you can pick it up and it gets filled in, but then when you throw it, it's gone and it's no longer in your inventory, so you get a blank again. So if you imagine if there were like 3 of these, you could see, oh, I picked up 2, there's 1 left to pick up, then I fire, and then I only got 1 left. So that way you know you're out.